In this video, you're going to learn how to do a streak plate. This is one of the most common things that we do in microbiology, and the reason we do it is that you're either working with a mixed culture and you're trying to separate out that multitude of bacteria, the different species you have in there. You want to separate them out so you can get a pure colony. Or maybe you already have a pure culture where you have just one species in your sample, but you want to grow them on a petri dish and you want to get, once again, an isolated colony for doing particular studies with. So the idea behind the streak plate is that you're going to take your sample, and it may be retrieved from a broth, or it may be from another petri dish, or it may be from an agar slant. So you can be taken from solid or liquid, and you're going to spread that bacteria across the surface of the agar on the petri dish. And the idea is to spread it out like you're diluting it out. You're going to spread it out so that you get individual pure colonies on one area of the plate. Now, each colony, after you've let it incubate and you let it grow, you're going to see these little colonies, like these little dots. Each one of those contains millions of bacteria. We're working with bacteria when we do this. So each colony, as you see it with the naked eye, is millions of bacteria. But the idea is that it arose from one individual one. And so if that colony is not touching any other colonies, then you consider it to be a pure colony. There's only one type of bacteria that is present. And so this is an example of a streak isolation plate that was done. What you do, there's a demo showing this, but what you will do is you will use typically your inoculating loop. You will sterilize it. You then touch it onto the broth or the plate or whatever the initial specimen was growing in, and initially you're going to streak it across this area where you see all this nice heavy growth. This particular bacterium, Serratia marcescens, is this reddish color when it grows at room temperature. And so it was streaked like this. Then you take your loop and you're going to flame it again. Let it cool. Do not go back into the original specimen. Go into this first area that you already streaked. And it's like you're going to pick up some of the bacteria and you're now going to streak in the second area. Only go into the original area once, maybe twice, then you're going to be spreading out here. Take your loop, flame it again. Now go into the second area and streak down here. Notice down here, there's an individual colony. Here's an individual colony. Here's an individual colony. You have several now. These right here are touching each other. You would not want to use those because they're touching each other. I know they look the same. They're the same color, about the same size, but you wouldn't consider those to be a pure colony. But like this one over here, this one over here, there's actually a few like right there. There's one right there. There's one over here. Those would be the pure colonies. That's what you are trying to do with the streak plate, is you're trying to isolate out from this heavy mixture over here to get these isolated colonies out here. It's like you're spreading it out really thick here, spread out until out here it's nice and thin. This is what we do a lot in microbiology, especially when you have a mixed culture, to try to separate out and get your individual pure colonies.